All right, it's 4 o'clock. So if we're all ready, we're recording, right, Kath? Yep. All right, so I'll call this regular meeting of the Bethel Public Utilities Commission to order for Monday, March 15th, 2021. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. First order of business is public input. If there's anybody, any members of the public who are with us today who would like to share anything, please identify yourself.
Matt, there are a couple of people on there, but they're actually on the agenda under new business.
Oh, okay, all right. So, all right, then we'll move on. Correspondence, Kathy, nothing else came in? All right. So then brings us to minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the last regular meeting, which was March 1st, 2021.
Second.
All right. Well, I guess I did that. So, all right. Any questions, corrections, comments?
No,
And hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. So that motion carries. Financials, I'll turn it over to you, Bob Kozlowski.
Okay,
Yeah.
on Friday, we emailed the information out, the report, along with the agenda and the other documents. If you look at the cover page, the water department shows revenue of 4,707,000, expenses 2,626,000 for a net surplus of 2,080,000. In the revenue, the reason why the number is so large, in the revenue, we have $2.6 million of reimbursement from the state for projects. Part of it was from last year expenses that we spent, and some of it is from this year's. Looking at the expenses, the couple of big items that pop out. The first one is water main maintenance, and I think I spoke about this before. Arnold construction. Of the $110,000, 45,000 is to them. BMP construction, $7,400. Connecticut professionals, 35,000, and GNL water for 7,400. That's the major items that are in that account. In contracted services, capital projects, we spent already $1.3 million, and the biggest item in there is the tank. D&N tanks for 794,000, earth movers for 382,000. Then you have Wright Pierce for 120, and Cannondale for $20,000. Those are again the biggest items in that account. The other items within the expense categories all appear to be in order. So if we move on to the sewer department, the net surplus is a little bit smaller. We had revenue of 2.5 million and expenses of 2.3 million, so $185,000 in net surplus. Couple of big items in there would be not contracted services, but plant maintenance. There was 116,000 spent to date on that. Blake equipment is 26.6. Cannondale again 26,000, and Kovacs 29,000 with 28,823, and then Pembroke for about $15,000. The other item in there is that we made 3 payments to the city of Danbury. That's in sewer contracted services of 650,000. So the city of Danbury received from us to date of 640,000. The other items that are in there add up to 10,000, and the biggest one being Cannondale again, but 4,400, and the rest are all small numbers. So nothing earth shattering there. Other than that, the rest of it seems pretty much straightforward. So that's all I've got.
All right. All right, I'll put a motion on the floor that we accept the financial report. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Paul. Any questions for Bob?
Nope.
All right, hearing none. Those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye, it carries. Okay, moving on to invoices. Let me bring that up on the other screen here. Three items. I'm going to make a motion that we approve invoices in the amount of $8,575.28. Those items are two from Ray Pierce, one from Weston and Sampson.
Second.
Okay, any questions on these?
Nope.
All right. Those are-
This is unusual month of only 8,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little lull in the action on some of the construction in February due to the weather.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That carries. Okay, new business. Tom, floor is yours.
Okay, first item up is the Farms, which is the development over at 36 Stony Hill Road. That's been in the approval process through P&Z for several years now. There's been some sporadic activity going on. We met most recently with the new owners and developers, and I've asked them to appear today to give us just a brief overview as a reminder of the project and basically the sewer allocation, which was approved, several years ago, is expired at this point. So I asked them to come in, give us a brief overview of the project, and they need to get an approval on the sewer allocation. Basically, there's, I think, 6 residential buildings, 1 clubhouse and 1 commercial building. And the total allocation came out to be about 18,047 gallons per day. Most of that being due to the residential. So the new owner is Joe. And Joe, I apologize, I don't have your last name at my fingertips, but I'll turn it over to you to just give a brief summary of the project. I know I saw you on there earlier. You might be muted.
Yeah, he's there. He's muted. Joe, do you know how to take the mute off?
Lower left corner of your computer screen, there should be a little microphone with a red line through it.
Yep. Lower left corner of your screen.
Or just press and hold the space bar.
Oh, that'll do it? While we wait, Tom, you know what the, there we go. Yeah, there you go. Now we can hear you.
All right, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Okay, very good. Cold today. It's cold. It's freezing.
Yeah.
Yes. So Tom, before we start, what was the original allocation given to that piece of property before the project changed hands?
It was 14,000 and change. Don't hold me to the number. I don't have it right with me. It was approved back in 2015, and that was prior to our sewer management allocation plan that we adopted in 2016.
Okay.
So basically the numbers today at 100 gallons per bedroom, there's 169 bedrooms. So that gets us to 16,900. There's one 20,850 square foot. They're calling it a medical office building.
Mm-hmm.
And the allocation for office is 55 gallons per day per 1,000 square feet. So that's another 1,147.
Okay.
That gets us to a total of 18,047.
All right. And what do we have in the bank?
In the bank, there was 123,750, I believe, is the number for the Payne Road section. The bank started out at 125, so we haven't used a whole lot in that section in the last several years. So we're with a bank of 123,750. We're looking for 18,047.
Okay. Okay, Joe, go ahead. I'm sorry, we're doing some preliminaries while you got yourself turned on though. So feel free to make any comments you might have on your mind.
I'm just very excited. I'm ready to go. Just need approvals, need permits, and I'm definitely not like that other developer. You know, we rock and roll and, you know, we're very experienced at what we do.
Mhm.
So, you know, I'm ready. You just tell me what to do,
All right.
approve me, and I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm sure the neighbors will be pleased to see some progress there. They call it the Tower of Babel. That's
Yeah.
up in the middle of the property there. So what's your, assuming all the permits and everything go through in an orderly fashion, what's your projected date of resuming work up there?
The day after we get a permit, we're starting. So
Okay.
as fast as we can get a permit, we're there.
All right. Okay, well, all right, so to make this formal, I'll put a motion on the floor that we allocate 18,047 gallons per day to this project. Tom, is there a project number or name just for the record that we should reference in the motion?
It's called The Farms,
The
and
fa-
it's 36 Stony Hill Road.
All right, so I'll add that to the motion. 18,047 gallons per day allocated to the farms at 36, did you say?
Correct.
36 Stony Hill Road. Is there a
Second.
All right, second by Rich. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to renew the allocation at that amount. Any comments or questions from the
What-
panel? Yeah,
Well, Tom,
Yes,
Tom,
yes.
is that the 18,000? That's a total allocation for that property?
That's correct, Rich. That covers the residential buildings, the clubhouse, and the commercial building.
Right. Okay. So, the property was so many acres. What was the original allotment for that property?
Well, as I described, they got an allocation of, and again, I don't have the exact number in front of me. It's 14,000 and change back in 2015. And our sewer management, capacity management plan, this was prior to that. So I don't really know the basis for coming up. The meeting had a number, like a high number for the commercial building and a lower number per bedroom for the residential, but that was 2015. It's long since expired. They're back today, so they're back to today's rules.
Right.
Joe, what's the timeline?
Maybe what I'm trying to get at is some of the properties like in downtown, and I don't know if Stony Hill was different, were allocated so much allotment, and then anything over that had to come out of the sewer bank. Am I thinking this wrong?
well, it all has to come out of the bank, right?
Yeah, it was an undeveloped piece of property, so I don't think there was anything allocated for it.
Yeah, right.
There may have been a projection before anything came in, but what we're allocating today is what we're proposing to use.
All right, so maybe what I'm getting at, is there any extra charge for this allocation to the project, dollar wise?
No, the dollar amount would be based on that flow, Rich.
Okay, all right.
And I transmitted that information over to the developer. I think that the allocation fee was going to work out to be $9,023.50.
Okay.
Okay, Dino, did you have a question?
I was just curious on the timeline when we can expect to start seeing the usage.
On usage of completed the project,
Yes.
what I was going to ask the town, and I don't know who to speak to. I know there's 6 buildings, and what I've done in the past on projects like this, if I can get a CO on the first building, pave up to it, and if I can start renting those units as I'm building the other units,
Mhm.
if the town's okay with that, it'd be nice, because we'll have activity, we'll have people in, we'll have renters, we'll keep everything clean, instead of waiting for the entire project to be completed.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
We could have,
Okay.
we could have
Go ahead.
usage, within 4 months.
So you're probably thinking late summer, early fall then, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much the way it would go too, so. All right, That
And,
sounds
and
good.
Joe, I think you'd be working that out with planning, zoning and
Yeah.
building departments.
Yep,
Okay. All right.
Obviously,
sounds-
from our end, the sewers would have to be in place because you got to have
Correct.
somewhere for the sewage flow to go. So,
Right. So what we'll do is as soon as we get on site, we'll start sewers and connecting all the underground water, sewer, gas, as we're framing, running and roughing the building, all that stuff at the same time. So we can get that one building CO'd and active.
yeah, I think if you recall, what we talked about at our meeting was basically getting together another site meeting once you're ready to get onto the site.
Yep.
And then we could start going over all the requirements from P and Z, building, utilities, highway department for driveway cuts. You know, get us all together and we go through all of those details. I think that's the best way to approach it.
Definitely. Okay.
I have one question are these rentals or condos?
Rentals.
Okay.
Rentals.
Do you realize that the fact that you cannot convert these over to condos later?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I don't like condos. I like rentals.
Pat, can I ask a couple of questions, please?
yeah, go ahead, Marty.
First thing is, and are you the new owner of the property?
Yes. Owner and developer.
Okay, and did you purchase all the property? Because at one time there was, part of the property was subject to a leasehold interest.
The lease is the medical building. So I'm trying to purchase that. I'm going to pay for the sewer connection fee. I'm
Okay,
gonna work on that. I'm going to take care of all that. And I'm hoping to acquire that property also.
okay, let me ask you another question. Are you looking to go for an assessment deferral?
No,
You sure?
maybe.
Caused the problem the last time. The last time they went for an assessment deferral, and about 3/4 through the process, it was discovered that there was this other lease agreement. And the lease is what caused the problem, and the whole thing went crashing down.
Okay.
All right,
So,
okay, so if you're not, that's okay.
yeah. No, I'm okay with it.
All right, thank you.
You got
All
it.
right, I have a question about development. It's probably more P and Z, but being a selectman, I like to know. Are you planning to also put up the commercial building at the same time while you're doing all the others? Or are you going to wait to get a renter for the building before you put the building up?
I am trying to purchase that property. I'm not involved in that commercial building. I'm
Oh.
only taking over the residential part. So I'm still waiting to get an answer back from the seller on the commercial piece.
Okay. All right, so you don't have anything to do with that right now?
No.
When you
No.
first spoke, I thought you bought the whole property and were developing the whole thing as it was before.
I'm trying, the property before was, the medical building wasn't included with the other developer, to my knowledge.
Well, originally that they sold it as the whole project, and there was a project down the road, further down the road, that it got developed, and we thought the whole thing was going to be developed, and it didn't. The second phase never got developed. So, I'm just looking out for the town's interest that, you're getting approvals for, one thing that you didn't follow through on the second thing, but I understand you only have the one residential unit right now. Residential.
I would definitely take both. So if you want to put a little pressure on the owner right now, that'd be great. So I'm interested in the other piece. I'm trying to work it out.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
And,
welcome.
and Rich, I can say too, I didn't want to parse out a portion of the project. The way I viewed it, the project is P and Z approval on the residential and the commercial. So the way I approached it was the sewer allocation I was going to request was for the entire project.
Right, okay.
I have a question for Tom. Since this is a sort of a big project here with a future medical facility, have you already got the specs already squared away for the sewage, size of the sewage line, size of the water line?
Well, they've got, I don't recall the size of the line for the the commercial building. I think that one was gonna get tapped out onto Route 6. But we require on the sewer a minimum of 6-inch. And that's gonna be more than adequate for anything they're gonna do in that building.
For six buildings?
No, for the commercial building.
Oh,
That's being tied in and connected onto the sewer that's on Route 6. And we require a minimum of 6-inch pipe. So that's going to be more than adequate. The rest of the residential, all within the building, are going to tie in and get discharged onto McNeil Road. And again, we require a minimum of 6-inch on site. And for each of those buildings, that's going to be adequate.
okay. And then, of course, water is Aquarian, right?
Waters Aquarian, I let the developer know they need to contact Aquarian. Aquarian provides what they call a will serve letter. And they need to update that because again, the project is expired at this point. I've been in touch with the gentleman from Aquarian. And I've also then let the developer know they need to contact him for the will serve letter.
And also hydrants, since you at least have 6 buildings there, we should have more than, I would assume, at least 1 hydrant per building, right?
I think the hydrants will come under the purview of what the fire marshal
Okay.
requested during the P&Z process. So
Okay,
I didn't really scrutinize it to look for hydrants since it's not part of
All
our
right.
system.
all right. And are these buildings going to be sprinkled? Joe?
Yes, yes,
Well, they are.
yes, yes.
All right. All right, that's my questions. Thank you.
All right.
Just, Matt, just
Yeah.
a couple more things. This may be a little bit off the subject, but if I'm not mistaken, Tom, we're going to pay for the hydrants, aren't we? Not the developer. That happened with Copper Plaza. All right. What happened was they had to put hydrants in, and Aquarian charged the town for the hydrants, not the developer and not the association who paid for them. I think that's something that you might want to consider calling Aquarian up and get it straightened out. I don't see how the town could be responsible for private property hydrants like that. That's what happened before. And I think we have separate costs too for sprinklers. Am I correct?
Correct.
They may be having the same thing for the sprinkler system. So that's something that maybe you can put a phone call in Aquarian and find out what their processes are now. Because I don't think the town should have to pay for that.
All right.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Aquarian does it, Marty, so I can't speak to that.
I know that we paid for them. We get billed by the associate, we get billed by Aquarian for what's up there at Copper Plaza right now.
I think that's typical throughout the state of Connecticut is the hydrants are charged to the towns.
To the towns. Not that this, all the developments I've built, the town pays for the hydrants. We run the underground piping. The developer pays for that.
They install it, correct?
Yes. We cover that. We do all the labor. We take care of that. But the hydrants are supplied by the city.
And the sprinkler systems are typically billed by the water utility and paid for by the owner. It's part of
Yes.
the water bill.
Well, yeah, with sprinkler system, same thing. We run it to the street. We connect right into the road. We pay for all that. Water company does the tap. And that's it. I mean, sprinkler
But on-
systems
On
mostly.
an ongoing basis, you're going to get a water bill for the domestic water, and you're
Yes.
probably going to get a bill for the fire service as well.
That's always a separate bill. Yes.
Yes. And that gets billed from the water utility to the developer.
Yes.
I don't want there to be any misunderstanding. I'm not talking about the water use for the hydrant. I'm talking about we have a hydrant charge.
I got you, Marty. I understand.
And so you're telling me that for private development like this, it's not on a town road, all right, that it's a normal thing throughout the state of Connecticut to have the town's bill for the hydrants from a private water company.
That's my understanding, Marty. I believe that's the
Okay.
case.
All right, just want to make sure you're correct.
All right. So we'll go-
I know we're getting off track a little bit, but like when I was at the healthcare had 6 hydrants on the property and they had to pay for their hydrants separately. it wasn't a charge covered by the town. And I agree with Marty. I think it's a private entity that should be paying for their own hydrants.
All right, we'll look into that because that's probably wrapped up in the planning process, I would think. I think that's what happened before with Copper Square, but we'll look into it. Make sure that we got that, got the right info. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the allocation of 18,047 gallons per day. Any further questions or comments? And hearing none, I'll try your minds. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? And that motion carries.
Okay,
Thank you
I
very
just
much,
want to
Joe.
thank Joe. I want to just thank Joe for coming and doing this project and getting it going again. Thank you,
Yeah,
Joe.
best of luck.
Thank
Hope
you.
you- hope you have success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys.
All right.
All right.
Whatever help we can give you, let us know.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Joe, the last thing I'll say, I would say keep Beth as your point of contact for the project at this point.
Okay,
Once we break out and we start doing construction, then you'll have a contact on who to deal with on the sewer installations. But
okay,
for right now, to get us going, keep Beth as your point of contact.
okay. You got it.
Okay,
Very good. Thank you so much, guys.
thanks,
Right.
Joe.
Best of luck.
Good night.
You got it. Bye.
All right, moving on to new business item number 2, sub area 14. And Tom, I think you and Bob Tedeschi are going to cover that part.
Yeah, sub area 14, it's been a while since we've gotten an update. If you recall, the last transactions we did, we had a engineering services agreement with Weston and Sampson. It was going to include 3 phases. A phase 1 for sub area 14 for the excessive infiltration, a future phase 2 for 14 that was going to cover more what I'll call preventative maintenance items, and then the third item was going to be phase 3 was going to be a preventative maintenance for the prior project, the prior section that we looked at, 9, 12, and 15. So at this point, Weston and Sampson has the plans ready to go, plans and specs for the excessive infiltration in sub area 14. So I asked Bob to show up tonight and have his map he can show us, and we can discuss that. And I'd like to get an authorization once we're done discussing to be able to go out to bid. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Bob.
Hey, Bob, are you going to share your screen?
Yes, if you let me share my screen, is that okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I will
Kathy's
do that
doing
right
it, but
now.
I think she just said she's going to make you a co-host.
Let's see. Okay, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. I think you have to give me permission.
I gave you permission. Let me try it again.
Okay,
It says you have it because it says, my only thing says withdraw coast.
okay.
You should have it.
It's let me do it now.
Okay.
So you should see title sheet.
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
Oh, there it is. It's coming up. There we go.
Okay. See the title sheet. So, hello everyone. Yeah, Bob Tedeschi, Weston and Sampson. As Tom said, back in 2019, we did the SSES for report and study for sub areas 9, 12, and 15. That report came up with 2 sets of recommendations for sewer repairs. One was to address excessive infiltration. One was, as Tom said, some repairs that were needed for maintenance reasons. Last spring, we had phase 1 designed and constructed. National Water Main Cleaning Company was out in sub areas 9, 12, and 15, and they did about 4,800 feet of lining. So that was phase 1, and it addressed the excessive infiltration of 9, 12, and 15. And we've designed the second part of that, phase 2, for the repairs. So last spring, we also finished the SSES report and study for sub-area 14, which similarly addressed and found sewer repairs needed. One set was for excessive infiltration and one were preventative maintenance. What this project is similar to 9, 12, and 15. We're going for the biggest bang for the buck. This is the phase 1. This is the excessive infiltration inflow repairs that were identified in the SSES report. So it's in sub-area 14. These are the contract documents. What you're looking here is a map of sub-area 14. Can you see my cursor moving?
Yes.
I'll zoom in a second, but this is Maple Avenue. This is Plum Trees, and east-west is Milwaukee. That's the general area. Plum Trees Road pump stations here. These tables describe the work that will be done. Lining, there's root treatment, there's testing and sealing of joints, manhole work, lateral lining. There is about 4,700 linear feet of lining, similar to the 9, 12, 15 project. We have about 2,400 linear feet of root treatment, about 3,900 feet of clean, inspect, test, and seal, an open cut point repair, and about a dozen manholes that need work.
Right.
I can zoom in just to get the flavor of what the maps show. It shows the properties. The black and white dash are where work is going to be done, segment to segment. And the manholes that are identified graphically are the manhole work. I'll just go to one of the tables. So a typical table where there's a location. This is the starting manhole and with the depth, ending manhole with the depth, the type of pipe, the length, the laterals, and the amount of infiltration that we anticipate to remove segment by segment. Overall, it's a little over 70,000 gallons per day of infiltration we think we're going to remove as this project. The sister project to this will be phase 2, which is the preventative maintenance. There'll be negligible infiltration, but it's a similar project to address the work that needs to be done to the source. So we're ready to put this out to bid. We have it highlighted in yellow are areas that are the work in Plum Trees Heights. And it just recently came to our attention that these are private gravity sewers. So Tom, I'll turn it back over to you to discuss that, or?
Sure. Yeah, so when I got the plans, I realized that section is in Plum Tree Heights. Typically, all the water main maintenance is done through the condo association and their contractors. When we started the sewer work, and again, before my time, probably starting back in 2015, all of the sewer manholes in that area were included in what was being evaluated. So logic dictated that it continued that way. And I realize now that while there's some sections in there that are in that condominium association, I wanted to bring that up for discussion. It basically comes out to be about 10% of the infiltration, and of course, it's about 10% of the estimated construction cost.
Mm.
So I just wanted to make sure that I pointed that out. I think it makes a lot of sense for those repairs to be completed, because basically that infiltration is getting into our system, and it's going to make its way to the Plum Trees pump station, where we're going to then pump it, and eventually it's going to make its way to Paul Street, where we're going to eventually pump it again to Danbury and basically have it treated. So there is a benefit in our overall system to getting some of that infiltration corrected. Now it's a matter of how do we go about it. Couple of options could be, do nothing, take it out of the contract and leave it alone, which I wouldn't recommend. Potentially leave it in there and get it corrected. Another option would be leave it in there, go out to bid to get some of the numbers, and have a correspondence with the condo associations to let them know that there's some excessive infiltration in their portion of the system that needs to be corrected. And I would suggest, we offer to have that included in our contract so that they can take advantage of the economies of scale and work out an agreement with them to get reimbursed. So, like I said, it was kind of an unusual scenario, and now that we've identified it on the plan, I wanted to bring it up here at the meeting and discuss it. So that's where we stand at the moment, and I'll open it up, Matt, to any discussion with the commission.
I have a question for Marty. We had a problem in Plumtree Heights some years ago where the generator failed. I think it was after one of the two big hurricanes in 2011 or 2012. And so there was a pumping system failure, and I think there was a backflow preventer that was either failed or was never installed. And I think we wound up having to be responsible for some of that anyways. Do you remember anything about that?
Yeah, I remember to a certain extent. I know it was technically was their responsibility. Off the top of my head, though, I cannot recall whether or not we decided to fix it on our own, we being the town and the public utilities, or it was something that we had done and they reimbursed us or something along those lines. This is the problem when you have a large project with sewer lines that are private.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know it's dumping into the town system, but yet we technically don't have any control other than to tell them we're going to shut you off if you don't fix it. I don't know what else you can do.
Well, my feeling, and Tom and I talked about this before the meeting, my feeling is we keep it included in the project and work out a bill back arrangement for their portion of it, because that's the best economies of scale for both parties. It actually would save them money as opposed to mobilizing a different company. And like Tom pointed out, if it doesn't get done or it doesn't get done properly, we wind up paying more for the water treatment that flows to the Danbury plant anyway. So I think it's in our best interest to just keep it in there and then work that out. I also mentioned to Tom that there could possibly be grant funds associated with the Rescue America Plan Act that's specifically targeted to sewer infrastructure that might help out. So either way, I think that we should proceed with the putting it out to bid as a complete project.
I have to tell you, that's the logical way to look at it. But what happens if they don't give you permission to go on the property?
Right, that was my question coming up. Yep.
They're going to have
I'm sorry, Matt.
Well, then we'd have to take it out of the project. I don't see why they would, but
you never know. I mean, you may look at it as another mechanism of something else having to be fixed, and they may get stuck with the bill. They don't want to do it. A lot of the associations, some of them have rather large capital reserves accounts.
Yeah.
I think it'd be nice if we could find out what they have in the capital reserve. So if the cost, and I have no idea what the cost is, but let's say their cost would be, I don't know, $120,000.
Marty, let me just jump in. It's about 30K from what I've added up for the project and parsed out their piece. So you're on that order of magnitude, 30.
Yeah, so, hopefully they have a lot more than that in there. Most of the places, especially the older ones, they have a substantial amount. So they could take it out of there, but you got to go through I don't know if you remember what we had to go through to get the line changed down on Beach Street with the association?
Yeah.
Remember, it was a pain in the rear end because we had to keep going back and asking them, and they had to meet. And so that's the only thing that I see the problem. But man, I don't disagree with you. It's the logical choice. I mean,
At
You,
this point,
you,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Rich.
you can bid it with the project, but keep it separate and, you know, in the meantime, we can have the discussions with them.
Yep.
And, you know, because they're contributing 10% of the infiltration right now, and tell them that they'll be assessed 10% of that amount of water that we feel that's going down there too. So it would behoove them to, you know, fix it.
I think that's correct, Rich, and I think you got the right idea. Keep it included, go out to bid. It's gonna take us minimum 4 weeks to get bids back. In that time frame, you start your conversation with them. And I've already drafted a letter that I could let Marty take a look at in terms of, you know, approaching them, not necessarily in an adversarial way, but basically pointing out that I think it's gonna be to their benefit. This type of work, they can't just get their local contractor to do it. The pipelining is definitely specialized work. And there's only a handful of contractors in New England that are really doing it. So the small amount of work that's required from them, for them to go out and bid that separately, I think they're gonna probably pay double than if they just take the unit prices that we're gonna end up getting back.
But I think you should separate it. It should be a separate bid for that development.
Well, I mean, it's easy enough because the way Bob has these tables set up, we have them specifically earmarked. So we know what the unit prices are going to be, and we know specifically, you know, where it's attributed to that particular site. It's going to be harder to try to ask the contractor to do two separate bids. One might be in, one might not be in. I think your numbers are going to come out better if you have them all included.
Yeah.
And then you basically try to work it out with them, and then you just deal with the contractor from there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with what anybody says. I don't know, I'm having a tough time seeing on the map here exactly where this is located, because you gotta remember, there's two condo projects up there. There's the Plum Trees Heights, and then there's the new Plum Trees Heights. And in order to get to the new Plum Trees Heights, you have to go through the old Plum Trees Heights. And there is on occasion some arguments between those organizations as to who's responsible for what. So I think you may end up having to deal with both associations, not just one.
Yes, Marty, you're absolutely correct. And I don't know specifically, Bob, with the cursor, can you kind of just circle around the entire development for Marty's sake?
Right,
It's that whole piece there, Marty.
Deer Run, Huntington Court, Nature View Trail.
So somewhere where that green, I'm sorry, somewhere where that green line is in the middle leading to the pump station,
Yeah.
that's roughly somewhere in there is going to be your break off point. Maybe where the word Huntington Court is, the pieces to the left might be Plum Trees 2, and all the
Right.
rest might be Plum Trees 1. But you're right, Marty. There's two entities.
It looks like to me that that's the old section, you know, and you're right, up to the, I don't see the scale on the map, but to the upper left-hand side is the new Plum Tree Heights. The upper right-hand side is the new Plum Tree Heights. So I think it's mainly the old, but, you know, I'm sure the lines, they run from the new Plum Tree Heights into the old ones.
Of course, and then into our system.
Yeah, so,
That's why if we're the central point of contact, and if we get it, you know, all of these items bid out in our contract, I think that makes the most sense. Then you just deal directly with the two. And then from there, once we cross that bridge, we know where they stand, and then we determine what we want to do from there. But
Who is going to do the negotiations with the Plum Tree Heights 1 and 2?
Mr. Marty.
I mean, we've got to get our ducks in order here. You know, you go to them and say, this is what it's going to cost.
Yeah,
I'm happy to put something together. I'm happy to let Marty and Matt take a look at it. However we all decide is fine with me.
well, I still think we should get a quote for doing the whole project, and then, you know, sort of like splitting the check at a restaurant, just get an estimate of what that portion would be, and we can talk to the homeowners association.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll be able to.
The worst that'll happen is we pull it out and deal with it separately, but I don't think we need to do that.
Yeah, Bob's got it broken down manhole run to manhole run. So we'll easily be able to figure out which sections are in which condo, control. And we can then easily figure out based on the unit prices, what each section is, is due.
Okay. Now, do you need a motion on this?
I was looking for a motion just to authorize us to go out to bid and basically then, do the advertising,
Right.
have the bid room set up so contractors can pick up the plans and specs and get the thing moving.
Okay. All right, well, I'll put that motion on the floor that we authorize the bid process for sub-area 14. Is there a second? Second by Rich. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Any further questions and comments?
Yeah, I just looking at this map, because we used to have a condo up there. I don't see anything for Idlewood.
That's in the new section, I think.
Yeah.
That's where we had the leak last month.
Right, that's right. It's the upper left-hand side of what you're seeing on the,
Right there, right.
Okay, the
Idlewood.
cursor's is right on the word Idlewood there, Paul.
Yeah, I know.
I drove in there today and I see a sign once you're midway through that basically welcomes you to the new Plumtree Heights 2. I saw no other signs that basically make it look like there's a third separate development. You do
I
see the
think
word
there are-
Idlewood for those
I-
roads.
I think there are 3 up there, if I recall correctly, but
Okay,
I
I
wouldn't.
think the third one's on the other side of the hill. And that one, they have a right to pass and repass. If you go to the top of the hill, there's also an emergency exit between the 2 projects.
Correct.
Trees is only 2, and then the other one is Kingswood on the other side.
Exactly. So what is Idlewood feed into Kingswood? Because it's,
No, Idlewood's in Plumtree's too.
okay. Because we had a condo there on Idlewood, so,
Actually, it does feed from Kingswood. There is a line that comes over the mountain from Kingswood and does feed those higher units and give them the proper pressure.
That's water.
Water,
not-
yes,
not-
yes, correct.
okay.
I thought that's what you were asking. I'm sorry.
All right.
So Tom, how do you intend to approach them as to their percentage?
well, if Bob scrolls back over to the table, and for instance, in that table 1, he's got Chipmunk Terrace and Huntington Court highlighted in yellow.
Yep,
So we're going to get a bid price from the contractor on X number of feet of 8-inch and X number of feet of 12-inch. So the unit price that they're going to give us for the 8-inch, we would apply towards the addition of 142 feet from Huntington Court and 230 feet from Chipmunk Terrace. So that would be a total of 372 feet based on that unit price. And then so on, if you go down the table, we'll use the contractor unit prices to those units. It should be pretty simple to figure that out.
okay.
And then once we determine which piece is in Plumtree's 1, which piece is in Plumtree's 2, and if there's a third, which piece is in that third, we'll figure out who's responsible for what.
It seems complicated. I don't know why we don't just get a separate price for that development.
No, we can have it split into 2 bids. That's fine.
Well, I think you get the economies of scales if you keep it as one bid item. If a bidder sees there's 4,700 linear feet of cured in place pipe, they will give you a price for 4,800 linear feet. If we have one for 4,500 and one for 200, the 200 one may cost more. Because it's a smaller quantity. It may, and actually the larger the other the 4,500. If there's a reduced quantity, there might be an increase in unit price.
Yeah.
You got the condo association could tell us that no, we're not going to do it unless the town does it. That's the only way the contractor is going to get the work. I don't know.
We can, we can take the these line items out if for any reason we can substitute them out. We'll have language in there for that that says,
But yeah, you gotta have that, yeah.
And we planned on having language in there, Rich, for that.
Okay,
We could do one or two things, take it out completely, or we could substitute in another section from what Bob's working on for the second phase of sub-area 14.
yeah,
So if we had to remove 300 feet of a certain item, we'll be able to find another 300 feet we can put back in, and then that'll make the contractor whole in terms of him giving us a bid based on 4,714 feet.
okay.
I don't think it's gonna be difficult to parse it out.
Okay, yeah, if we run into a roadblock, we'll regroup.
My only comment is I think we have to expeditiously talk to the Plum Trees people.
Yep.
Because we're gonna go get bids shortly. They better know in advance.
I agree, Paul. And we'll do that.
Okay,
I've got something drafted now, so I can have Marty take a look at it and he could wordsmith it, and then it could go out under my signature. It could go out on Marty's signature, either way.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the bid process. Any further questions? And hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you very much. So Tom, you're still up. Director's report.
Okay.
Anything else you didn't already cover?
Okay, and Bob, thank you for having your map and your explanations. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
okay,
thanks, Bob.
thank you.
We'll-
Take
we'll
care,
be-
guys.
We'll be in touch.
Keep in touch. Take care.
Okay, for director's report, not much, just a little update. It's probably too early to even get into this, but P and Z had a preliminary meeting with another development down at the end of Stony Hill towards the Newtown line. And that particular property extends into Newtown. So we don't have any details yet, but it looks like the way the lay of the land is, the gravity, the sewer would probably flow by gravity towards Newtown. But once plans start coming in, we'll have more to say about that.
Is that on Route 6?
Yes,
Next to Hollandia?
yes, right next to Hollandia, they have I think they have a 57-foot strip
Yep.
of frontage. It gets them onto property, further behind that I believe extends down to Walnut Hill Road.
Yep.
There's X number of acres in Bethel, and then there's X number of acres in Newtown. So we didn't see any details in terms of how they're gonna enter the property, but like I say, everything's flowing gravity towards Newtown. That would seem to be the logical place, that's gonna go. And as far as water, again, that would be Aquarian.
Okay,
Just so you know, the property was the subject of one of the longest lawsuits in the town of Bethel. That was owned at one time by Frank Frank and his family.
oh, wow, that goes back. Wow, all right, well, what else you got going on?
Just a couple of things myself. There's the new lead and copper rule is being promulgated by EPA. They haven't finalized it yet, so I've been just looking into that a little bit. More to come on that because compliance is still, I think, 3 years from now. But I've been on a couple of webinars just to start to get oriented towards it. Another requirement that's coming up sooner is something called the Risk and Resilience Assessment and a related emergency response plan. This was part of what was called the America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018. And basically, you have to do an assessment of your system for various categories. The larger systems were due already. Our size system is going to be due June 30th. So that's something I'm going to try to put together and have that ready. Basically, you're in compliance by certifying back to EPA that you've done it. So more to come on that. I've got a few months to put that together and I should be able to do that.
All right,
That's it for director's report.
okay, you want to just go into old business, capital project summary?
I'll continue with capital projects. Not a whole lot this month. Chestnut Tank, we're at status quo. The snow actually has melted from that site. So I think they're going to be on site this week. There's a groundwater monitoring well that needs to be installed. so that we can make sure that there's going to be no uplift forces on the tank if the tank was ever empty. So that's still to be installed, and they're going to come out and take a look at that on Wednesday. And the other item there is the landscaping, which I think they'll be ready to get going on that relatively soon. Probably again within this next month. At that point, we'll start putting together our punch list, and I think the project is going to basically be wrapped up by in the month of May.
All right, great.
The Bergstrom Well project, Wright Pierce has, they were trying to get the site surveyor scheduled early before they get too busy and get elsewhere, and before things leaf out and, the brush starts to grow. So they've actually got the surveyor scheduled for this Thursday. So they'll be able to start putting the topo map, the topo information together for, the base map for Wright Pierce to basically put the plan together.
Mhm.
2019 water mains, nothing new. We're still on hold with the weather. I think the contractor will be planning to do his tie-in at Lindbergh, kind of coinciding with the asphalt plants being opened. They have that piece of work to do, and then whatever final paving is left to be done. And again, they should be done, I would think, by the month of May as well. The next project is the next set of water mains. We've got the final plans and specs ready from Wright Pierce. I've submitted them to DPH for their authorization, again, for us to go out to bid. So what I'd like to ask for, again, is authorization for us to go to bid pending receipt of the DPH authorization. I can save us a little bit of time between now and the next meeting if, in fact, that DPH approval comes in, say, this week or next. We'd be able to get the project out to bid and just try to jump on that as soon as we're able to.
All right,
So I'll ask that for your consideration at this point.
all right. I'll put a motion on the floor to authorize the director to put the sewer mains out to, the water mains out to bid for the next phase. Is there a second? Second by Rich. Any other discussion?
I could fill in one more piece of information. The estimate we got, the preliminary estimate is on the order of 865,500. So we're within our, we're less than $1 million as far as that goes. And the 4 streets included in this project were School Street, Rector Street, Pleasant Street, and Fleetwood Park.
All right. Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? And hearing none, that motion carries. All right, what else?
Okay, last 2 projects, the Eureka generator. I spoke with Shock Electric today. Paul, it always brings a smile to your face.
I know.
The muffler is in hand.
Okay.
They're scheduled for Friday to install it. My fingers are crossed for Friday. Next steps would be getting Kohler, the manufacturer, to do the startup and the testing. So we should be getting that one wrapped up here also, hopefully I'll say in the month of April. And last project, the SCADA design. Again, as a reminder, we went through the QBS process for the engineering agreement. I've submitted that to DPH, and at this point, I'm waiting for their authorization to award that to Wright Pierce. And once I have that, I'll be back to PUC with that agreement for approval. And that's all I got.
All right. Any,
How's the fog program going?
Fog, there's been a little bit of a lag there in terms of new restaurants coming in. The most recent one now is it's called 123 Let's Eat up on Route 6.
Yep.
So they're going with a grease interceptor on that one, and everything else has been going fine.
all right, very good. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to supervisor's report. Kelly, you're up.
And as you see, I'm in a sling. I just come back to work today. I've been out for a week. Chris McCollum has kind of been taking charge when I've been away. They've done probably 75 to 100 more MIUs, so that's good that we're getting those out of the way, as well as the regular work that has to be done. Our new guy, Wayne Clark, he just finished a class, which he got an 82 on. It's like a build-up class to get him to his treatment level. And he's starting another one on his classes. Now, the biggest thing now is waiting for the state to be able to figure out how they're going to be able to give a test without doing it on a computer like we're doing here, where there's somebody off screen giving the answers. You know, I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but speaking on generators, I made a call again into Cummins again this morning when I came back to work, and he's going to try to get to me this week. So that'll give me 3 quotes on the generator down at Fall Street. And as for Blake Equipment, same thing. I've got a text out to them to, I want that new controller installed out there at Stony Hill 1, especially with this new, well, actually, that's not even going to affect the farms. But I definitely, if this other system goes in down past Hollandia's, I definitely want to have this thing in place and ready to go. So I'll be reaching out to them. I mean, they're talking quite a few units. I sat in on a Zoom meeting regarding that, and they were talking, I'm pretty sure they're talking 124 units going on the Danbury property, and I think it was 100, maybe it was 96 on the Newtown side of the property. Or excuse me, the Bethel side of the property, but it's going to go down the hill, down across from Newtown Power, and then be pumped back up into our system. So you know, it's going to be involved. It's quite a bit of infiltration, and I don't know how Newtown is going to be able to handle it. So, but other than that, that's what I got.
Any questions for Kelly?
Yeah, we lighting people up for the hydrant replacements, Kelly?
We're going to try again as soon as we get going in the next week or two. Hopefully within the next, let me say month or two. But yeah, I said I've got them lined up. Plus, there's a couple of them that are leaking a little bit. That when our leak survey was done, they found a couple of hydrants that are leaking.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you know, maybe get them lined up so before they get real busy.
yeah. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions for Kelly? Going once, going twice? Okay, great. Very good meeting, everybody. Thank you so much. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Paul, second by Rich. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you very much. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Bob and Marty. And you guys all have a lovely night. See you next time.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.